want you to know that I really do love this week of the NFL calendar, because I'm excited to be here talking about the Chiefs free agent additions, them retaining a familiar face, breaking down what we've learned from this week, from the legal tampering to the official no takesies backsies section of free agency. But I want you to know that I'm happy to be here, because if I really wanted to, I could be playing Pokopia right now. I could be building a paradise for my Piplup family. And instead, I'm here to talk to you about Drue Tranquil. Not to be confused with the Pokemon, the Pigeon evolution, Tranquill. That would be confusing. And it has to be nice to have your name just be a Pokemon. I'm seeing if it's spelled the same way, because I've thought about this before, but I've never actually Googled it. And I feel like Drue Tranquil needs to know, yeah, it's exactly the same. There's just a Pokemon named Tranquill, a wild pigeon Pokemon, and we're going to talk about Drue staying in Kansas City here on today's show. So welcome in to Everything Else. I'm Joshua Brisco. Tucker D. Franklin definitely producing today's show from behind the proverbial glass, and really a lot to get to from even just the last 14 hours or so. We got a couple extra pieces of news. If you've missed anything all week long, of course, the KCSN YouTube channel, where you can watch this show live every Monday and Friday, almost always at noon, although we went a little late on Monday to wait for all of the tampering to begin. But if you want to go through The Lab and Only Weird Games, the Breaking News Team, that football show, you've got so many options across the KCSN YouTube channel. If you want specifics on some of the players that maybe broke that news earlier in the week, we're going to kind of go in reverse chronological order here, and I want to talk about Drue Tranquil and Emari Demercado today. Obviously, all of these moves are tied together, and especially the running back room in a very obvious way, but I think I'm pretty content with where the Chiefs stands now here after this first wave of free agency. There's one obvious, enormous need that I won't make you sit around and wait for and guess about. They still need to add another body at defensive end, even pre-draft. I think the Cam Jordan thing makes sense. Chris Jones tweeted about him. I know he's 100 years old in NFL years. He was productive last year, and the Chiefs don't need another George Karlaftis. They need another pass rusher who can be out there in a certain role. By another George Karlaftis, I mean a guy who's going to play every snap physically possible in a way that Karlaftis does. You don't need to replicate that. You already have Ashton Gelati in the mix, and then maybe you're able to address it with Ruben Bain at 9. Maybe you're addressing it with a 29th overall pick. Certainly think that they're going to end up going defensive end with one of those premium picks. But with that one main exception, I'm pretty happy with where the roster is sorted out here, even though a lot of the departures have stung. And I do still think the Chiefs are probably going to need a couple of off seasons to get the overall health of the roster where they want it to be. If they nail the draft, then you can speed that process up. You are never going to be able to solve that problem, and certainly not years in advance, by just spending big in one free agency period. And, for what it's worth, the Chiefs haven't spent big. They haven't so far done any of the dramatic restructurings or dramatic contract renegotiations with Creed or George Karlaftis, or restructuring that Chris Jones deal, something I would rather not restructure if you don't have to, just because he's an older player and there's already a lot of guaranteed money still in that deal. The question here, I'm going to swing through some of these comments later, I'll star them as we go, but a question here from Maddox. Did the Chiefs get better on offense, though? No, I think they got worse on defense, too. So there is a lot of room to go. This is where I've philosophically landed, and I've said this across multiple shows and multiple time slots and all of that, so if you've been following me around this week, not literally, probably, right? I've been home most of this week. All I see outside are birds and squirrels, so I think we're okay. If you've been listening to me on a variety of places this week, this is probably redundant, but it's really just calcified as the week has gone on for me. I think the Chiefs are patchworking free agency at some of these less premium positions to make sure that there's not just a gush of water bursting through the dam at one of these spots where then you look back and go, my goodness, I didn't think they were going to be so bad at, let's say, linebacker this year. But yeah, I mean, it's just Nick Bolton and Cooper McDonald and Jeffrey Bassa, and Bolton's been hurt for 3 games, and now the 2026 season's all about the linebackers. Well, by retaining Drue Tranquill, and I'll get into the details on him here in a second, by retaining Drue Tranquill, you are one layer deeper for any sort of gushing of your defensive bleeding. If you lose Nick Bolton for a stretch of time and Tranquill can be your Mike, you can still run your defense. If Bolton and Tranquill are your 2 starting linebackers in a defense that doesn't run a lot of base, I mean, no one in the NFL runs a ton of base at this point, being like a 4-3, 3-4, the Chiefs obviously a 4-3. If you're not playing more than 2 linebackers at a time most often, and now Jeffrey Bassa and Cooper McDonald and maybe a draft pick can all kind of step in line and not be forced into action early. Again, I still think there's the issue at defensive end where the market has just been enormous, and that's just what it costs. That's what it costs to get that level of play of defensive end. But ultimately, you now don't have to spend a premium pick on a running back, a linebacker, a safety, a corner for that matter. You will need to spend some picks on those players, but not on guys that you're instantly expecting to be day 1 starters. So that's a huge improvement from just not knowing where you stand now. So I still think, to be clear, to kind of back to that initial question, and I would also agree saying the Chiefs need one more receiver. Absolutely. I think they need one more receiver this year, and they probably need multiple receivers in the long run. So just investing back into that makes a ton of sense to me. If you're at a position now, it's a very incomplete offseason. The draft is vital, even more so than usual, even more so for the Chiefs than usual. You've got to get your ceiling raised in the draft. Is the defense better today than it was last year? No, it's worse. 2 of your best 3 players, arguably, are Los Angeles Rams now. Obviously, McDuffie's clearly one of the Chiefs' best 2 players. Jalen Watson had stretches where he was the 3rd best player on that defense. Brian Cook is a Cincinnati Bengal, so you can extend it. You might be able to say 3 of your 4 best players, and certainly your 3 most trusted defensive backs last year, are all gone. You're worse off today than you were when the season ended, and this was not a team that was very good last season on a variety of levels. But what I think you do with the free agency moves here, again, you set the floor. I think that's generally true for all teams, by the way. When you're a bad football team, when you have a lot of cap space, when you're the Titans, you can make a splashier signing, but it's probably not going to be a signing that changes the direction of your franchise. You can make good signings. And look, the Chiefs signing Tyrann Mathieu and Justin Reed, and those are moves that raise the floor and the ceiling. This isn't absolute, but typically you're going to find your foundational multi-year, hopefully multi-contract players through the draft. And so I think right now the Chiefs are plugging holes, and then they have to succeed with those 3 top 40 picks. 9, 29, 40, another one on the top 75. You need to have real wins from those picks, varying degrees, but you need like a star, a starter, and a high-end contributor from that kind of collection of picks there. And maybe 2 stars would be great. Maybe a star and 2 starters would be great. Just 3 role players is not going to be good enough, and the Chiefs are going to have to solve for that as they go forward. So that's not easy, but I think that's where they stand now. Philosophically, that's why I'm pretty happy with how this free agency period has gone, and it's why the draft is just going to be absolutely vital. If you want to pre-order the draft guide, by the way, you can go to bit.ly/SwansonSucks, and you can pre-order it there. There's another link to get there, but I don't know why you would need it. bit.ly/SwansonSucks. And I think it's also in the description of the video and the podcast audio as well. So go grab the draft guide because we're all going to need it this year in a really big way. Let's talk about the specifics here. I've already given you kind of the take on Drue Tranquill, but Mike Garafolo posted yesterday that Drue Tranquill recently renegotiated the final year of his deal, taking his base pay from $6 million down to $3.5 million, $3 million fully guaranteed, and trimming his cap number by $2.5 million. This is good for everybody. And I'm going to give Drue Tranquill credit and then also be like, hey, also, this is not just a pure pay me less money so we can sign Alohi Gilman, who, they have the relationship from the Chargers days. My guess is that that's about what Drue Tranquill figured he would get on the open market. You wait until the waves of free agency go through. I'm guessing his agents were probably talking around saying, okay, what would the market be for Drue Tranquill if the Chiefs just cut him outright? You don't take a pay cut without there being a little bit of leverage from both sides, right? So I'm guessing the Chiefs went to Tranquill. I'm guessing they went to Tranquill and said, hey, we can't keep you at this cap number this year, but that's not because we don't want to keep you around. Figure out where your market's at. Let us know what a reasonable number is. We will not make you move and play for a different, less successful team, move to a different city. Maybe you spend all this time with the Chargers, continue this next act of your career in Kansas City, rather than going to Buffalo on a 1-year, $2.5 million deal, and then the next year going to the NFC on a 1-year, $2 million deal. So ultimately, I think this is a win-win. It is Tranquill agreeing to something that is pretty rare. To say, yeah, no, let's lower that non-guaranteed money. Let's move some of that out of the picture. Here's what I can play for. Here's what you can pay me for. And we're just going to be friendly about it, even though it is a pay cut for Drue Tranquill. Again, I'm guessing that the Chiefs were not going to keep him on the cap number that he came in with, but that relationship seems really good. As far as I can tell, again, I'm guessing this was a conversation they had before free agency opened, just so everyone can kind of know where the cards were at. I'm guessing that Drue Tranquill did not write a handwritten letter to Brett Veach and says, Dear Mr. Veach, I would like to make less money this year so that you can make the team better other ways. And the Chiefs also probably didn't show up to Drue Tranquill's house with a baseball bat like, hey man, you're going to take $3 million, $2.5 million less to stick around. It's just a win-win for everybody. I think it's good business all around. Tranquill does deserve credit for doing the pay cut thing. Because again, I think there's got to be a pride element to that as well. Of like, okay, so you want me, but for $2.5 million left, you're going to come to me for $2.5 million of cap space. He could have definitely just like told them to go kick rocks and that he'll go play in Carolina or whatever. But I think it's probably for the best for Tranquill to stay with Spags, stay in the same defense, and have at least one more year in Kansas City. Maybe next year there's another 1-year deal to keep him around again. It is pretty rare, and I think Tranquill certainly deserves credit for taking up his side of this. But really, it feels like it's probably a pretty good win-win for everybody all around. It also makes me feel better about the linebacker group. I'm bummed that Leo Chanel is gone. I know Seth was saying that he would have matched that number that Washington gave him. It's a lot of money for a guy who's been a part-time player, but he's such a unique player that I'll hear all arguments on Leo Chanel, and I really hope he has success in Washington. But now, with Tranquill, like I said at the beginning, if Nick Bolton gets hurt, Drue Tranquill is your green dot. I think we've seen him do that before. I'm guessing he would do that again. If you're running out there with 2 linebackers, and we know Spags is going to have Nick Bolton on the field as much as possible, even if he's not what you want in coverage, even in a sub package, well, Bolton and Tranquill can be your 2 when you have competent play there. Again, not a level of production that's not going to cause a problem, which might sound like a backhanded compliment, but I really mean it as like a necessity, something you have to have at any position group in the NFL. Now, you also do get Jeffrey Bassa and Cooper McDonald a little bit of insulation. One of them, as things stand right now, would need to start in base packages. Ultimately, I won't be surprised if another year goes by and they go like, oh, okay, so they lean on Cooper McDonald and Jeffrey Bassa is still playing a lot of special teams for the first 6 weeks. We'll see where training camp leaves you, but now you've got a couple of linebackers and a little bit of versatility from Tranquill's side, to where you could hopefully figure out your best iteration there, and as your sub packages vary. It seems like they like McDonald. They drafted Jeffrey Bassa. It doesn't seem like they loved him on defense last year, but I think that's reasonable. Here's the one linebacker thing. Even with Tranquill still around, obviously Tranquill now in the last year of his deal, I think linebacker might be the sneaky draft position that we're not talking about quite enough. Probably not Sonny Styles at 9, although I know Tucker would be fine with that. I'll let him just geek about Sonny Styles later if he wants. Incredible athlete and an extremely fun football player. Might not be there at 9. Maybe he will be. But I could see the Chiefs saying, okay, we've, given the moon to Nick Bolton, but his contract becomes a little bit flexible after this season. We love Drue Tranquil. He's not under contract after this season. And everyone else involved is a small investment at the position. If there's a guy they love enough to be able to talk themselves into him being the best player available, I could see that pick coming at any time. Like, again, if Tate, Lemon, and Bain are all gone, if all the edge rushers really, but Bain's the one we keep penciling in for obvious reasons. If all those guys are gone at 9 and Sonny Styles is there, it wouldn't completely blow my mind. If there's a linebacker at 29 or 40 of that top 75 pick, or maybe just another day 3 pick, they just kind of keep churning and trying the Bassa level thing, that wouldn't surprise me either. But there's a lot invested in Nick Bolton right now. There's not a lot locked in through the future at linebacker. So I think that's interesting, just something to put a pin in. Then we have Emari Demercado, who you may remember famously for letting go of the football just short of the goal line in Arizona last year, leading to a sideline spat with Jonathan Gannon. First thing I'll say about Emari Demercado, I assume that he will never drop the football until he hits his head on the goalpost, probably ever again. Because that's got to be a moment where, like, okay, well, I just made the dumbest mistake you can make on an NFL football field, something that drives everyone crazy, and that can really change how teams view me. And if he does that for the Chiefs, I think Eric Bieniemy needs to be taken off the premises just to protect himself. Bieniemy and Demercado. I fear for what that interaction would look like. I have to imagine he'll get asked about that during his introductory presser. He doesn't want to be the guy that dropped the ball at the 1. I imagine that's going to work out just fine. The more interesting thing with Demercado is that he's the third down back that we were talking about the Chiefs probably still needing to add after signing Kenneth Walker. I think you make Kenneth Walker a first and second down back who can catch the ball some, and you figure out how he grows as a pass protector and all of that. There's still room. It's not going to be all hard and fast of first, second down, Walker. Third down, Demercado. And we'll get Brashard Smith in the conversation here in a minute, too. But he's your third down back. He's listed at 5'9". He kind of looks it on the field. But, man, I've seen a handful of clips from Cardinals fans and reporters and stuff from last year of what he was doing, picking up blitzes. He is a very willing blocker and, good at it. Especially, it always looks like an unfair fight, much like it did for Jerick McKinnon, who was also winning unfair fights at times, because you've got these linebackers sprinting through the gap, and you got a 5'9" running back who has to not even die a slow death, die a violent death, and then you might be able to buy enough time for your quarterback, and it seems like Demercado can do that. So I think that makes a ton of sense. He has a little bit of home run ability, too. A little big play ability, can certainly catch the football. So I think it makes a lot of sense as the complement to Kenneth Walker. And then I right now, with the reputation that this running back draft class is getting, which is a poor one, I'd be okay basically considering Brashard Smith as your rookie draft pick again this year. The second year in the system, and you let him continue to grow as a pass catcher. If he's your number 3 back and you don't draft anybody, I'm generally cool with just draft a running back in the 5th, 6th, 7th round every year, and until you get one that overachieves that value. It's a pretty good gamble in terms of just trying to figure out what kind of traits you're looking for, and then how to get a running back at a really cheap value, and a young running back with a lot of tread on the tires. So if they do draft one late, I'm totally cool with that. It just seems like there is no real middle tier of backs in this year's draft class, and then everybody's price probably gets a little bit inflated. Everyone's draft value gets a little bit inflated. You could play football tomorrow with the Walker Demercado backfield in a way that I don't know that you could have with Walker, Brashard Smith, and nobody else. If they go through the draft and Kareem Hunt has not signed with the Chiefs or anyone else, I could see him being a post-draft re-signing where you say, okay, we're willing to go in the next season with 4 running backs on the active roster if they earn those spots. if you go in next year and you don't draft a running back, then you take Walker, Demercado, Smith, and then you call Kareem Hunt back. You say, hey, we need a little bit of depth. Both Demercado and Walker, you've got just like an injury awareness, which you also need to have for any running back ever, just the position playing the way that it does. You've got to have depth there. So you can say, hey, man, we are not going to give you 20 carries ever again in a single game. That part of your life is behind you. But if it's 3rd and 1, you're coming on the field. If we need some pass pro and it's not Demercado, you're coming on the field. If one of those guys does get hurt and we need someone to share some of that backfield load with Brashard Smith, Kareem Hunt can do that. So I wouldn't be surprised if he returns. I do think it's nice, though, that you are getting more outside faces in some of these lower level contracts, which also takes me to the cornerback Kader Kohou from Miami. Bringing him back, or bringing him in, as opposed to bringing back, and maybe they still will, but like I think Najee Johnson's just still out there right now, right? And he's had some abilities zapped from injuries, which is really unfortunate. Not his fault. It's, that stinks. But I do think the Chiefs have fallen into that gap a little bit over the years of, well, no, it's just, bring back Derek Nottie, bring back McCole Hardman, bring back Clyde Edwards-Helaire, bring back the familiar faces with experience in the system, offensive or defensive or special teams for that matter. Bring in familiar faces that we can just plug right in and the ship will keep sailing. That's okay for keeping you afloat. It's not very good for finding unexpected value, overlooked value. You might have overlooked value from Kader Kohou. He didn't play any football last year. He got hurt. I think it was late in training camp. Went through this on weird games. It was June or July. Tears his ACL, misses the entire season. Should be totally ready to go by training camp, it seems, for the Chiefs now. Because, it'll be more than a year. Or it'll be nearly a year by the time they're reporting in St. Joe. Seamus says, Josh is going to go insane when they trade a 2027 6th for Kareem Hunt next season. Jackie says, wait for Juju and Dana to come back. Yeah, you guys are on the right track. If Juju and Dana come back on minimum deals to add a little depth, I can live with that. Juju's a little tougher just because I really do want them to add another receiver, and that room is closer to where you want it to be in 2026, assuming that Rashee Rice is a part of the room, which is an assumption for now. He's on the roster as we speak. Please don't trade a pick for Kareem Hunt, but if he comes back before training camp, and then especially if any of those guys, Juju, Hunt, Dana, the McCole Hardman reunion, if any of those guys aren't showing what you expected in camp, then you just move on again. I do prefer what they're doing now, though, where you can have some familiar faces, some security blankets, some guys that Spags can lean on, some guys that Reed and Mahomes can lean on. But Kader Kohou's ceiling here seems relatively high if he looks like the guy that he was pre-injury, which is always a big if. But the other thing is that he's the fit for the problem we were talking about on Monday. You lose Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson. Christian Fulton is still on the roster, so I assume he's pretty close to in the clear. And then Noah Williams is certainly one of your starters. You don't have a slot corner on the roster before the Kohou signing. Now you do. He's probably your nickel. Apparently he can play outside as well, but you at least have a world where your starters are on the roster right now. Fulton, Williams, Kohou. Now, that is not an established starting trio. That entire group combined probably played 10 games of meaningful snaps last year combined. Williams might have gotten a little bit higher than I'm giving him credit for, but don't forget that just the push and pull of the Noah Williams experience, we all went, man, it looks like he's playing really well, and he kind of disappeared for a while. Christian Fulton played really well at the end of the season when the season was over. And Kohou didn't play games last year. So I do think that there is an unknown there still, but it's less unknown than just going, okay, well, I guess Chris Roland Wallace is your slot corner now, even after he's kind of evolved into a safety. Seamus says the slot starter was on the roster already. His name is Shamari Connor. That's still probably going to be a factor. But also, you need Shamari Connor to play safety right now, too, because it doesn't seem like they're in love with Jaden Hicks. At least they weren't by the end of last season. So, again, I think that you are setting the floor with the guys I just mentioned, and then, as like Justin says in the comments, they'll draft at least 3 defensive backs. If they keep all of the picks they have right now, they should. You get 1, and maybe you take 2 in the first 2 days of the draft, and 2 in the second, in the 3rd day of the draft. There's going to be a real investment into that from a youth and ceiling perspective, but they've got their floor better set right now. I'm going to scan through the comments here because I've seen a couple things pop by, and those are the new signings. I guess Tyquan Thornton hadn't signed on Monday. I feel like I've talked about that a number of times now. Glad to have him back. I thought 2 years, $11 million was an extremely fair number for him. Kind of funny that I did the math once. It's something like $500,000 or $600,000 per catch he had last year. The fact that they're paying him makes me hope that they want to play him. And Jackie mentions, Tucker told me this right before the show, Thornton back to wearing number 2 this year. That's huge. That's a massive improvement from an aesthetic perspective. So he's going for 1,000 yards. I need the Chiefs to use the player they just gave a 2-year, $11 million deal for, but I would have absolutely signed off on 2 and 11 for Thornton. Easy. They've paid real money for a receiver to do some of the stuff that he did well last year. They paid real money for MVS to do that, even when he wasn't doing it as high of a level as Thornton was last year. They just stopped going to him after they got healthier. It's weird. Probably going to be different now that he got paid. He's been with the team now for more than a year, because remember, he joined the practice squad in the fall or early winter the year prior. So I think the chemistry with Mahomes is there. His speed is real. The deep threat ability and the ability to track and catch the football is all there. I like that deal. They have to throw him the ball more than they did last year, and more consistently. I don't need 3 deep shots on the same route in the first drive of every game. But he needs to be a real part of the offense, and I think with that price point, the Chiefs are telling you that he will be. Okay, I'm going to scan through some comments here. In fact, let's actually do this. Let's go ahead and take our time out, and I'll scan the comments while you guys look at the raccoons and possums, and we'll come back. Tucker will hop in. We'll take some of these questions, and we'll see where we're at going into Wave 2 of free agency. We'll do that after the break. All right, Tucker D. Franklin, you want to help me answer some of D's questions?
Absolutely. I wouldn't want anything more.
Good. End of bit. First one from VF's Epic. Tucker, are you still fostering those possums? Oops, hold on. That one's probably for me. Are you still fostering those possums? Remember you talking about it a few years ago? Definitely not. That was a wintertime thing when he released them in the spring. And at this point, might be a tiny bit morbid to think about, but those possums have probably, hopefully, made more possums and then left this mortal possum coil. So we do see possums in the area. I had a raccoon show up on the camera a couple times the last couple of weeks. Big fella. 1-tech raccoon. A Tonga style build raccoon. But yeah, so I think we've done our part on the on trying to foster literally and figuratively foster the possum population in our neck of KCMO, and that makes me very happy. Kyle says, linebackers, absolutely agree. Good draft for linebackers of the future. Maybe a guy that starts. I have heard that a variety of places, Tucker. It seems like this is like an exceptional group of linebackers in this draft class. And I saw Jackie earlier say he was a little bummed to see some of these linebackers in free agency get less money than Nick Bolton's already playing on. Not usually how that works. Usually the price goes up as year over year goes by. But that the reputation of this linebacker draft class seems pretty remarkable. I can't remember who. It might have been Nate Tice. One of the national media types who I respect very deeply said that it was the best linebacker class they've ever graded.
Yeah, Ken Swanson grades linebackers for the KCSN Draft Guide. He's very big on this class. He spoke very highly of it. It helps me have a freak like Sonny Styles at the top of the class, who is, he started playing safety for Ohio State, and then he got too big, and they're like, well, we got to move you to linebacker. So he moves like a safety. Can hit like a defensive end and can cover like a cornerback. So, I mean, he's kind of the total package.
I've got breaking news. I have actual breaking news. If you want to pull the liner for us here, we can do it. I've been waiting to see if this move would happen, and man, this feels relevant. From Adam Schefter, the Titans are releasing cornerback L'Jarius Sneed, which will save the Titans. Save Tennessee $11.4 million against the cap, per sources. Titans informed Sneed's agents, the Katz brothers. He did spell Sneed wrong the second time, by the way. Good job by Schefter. Spelled Sneed right the first time, wrong the second time. Titans informed Sneed's agents, the Katz brothers, of their decision today. Sneed will now become a free agent. He spelled it right the third time as well. Just that second time. Got Schefter tied up. He was too focused on spelling Katz correctly, I assume.
It's a musical.
Correct. That I'm sure that's what he was thinking, and he instead, I'm gonna let the typo stand. I've been waiting to see if that move would happen. Look, the argument against it is that he's being cut because how many games did he play for the Titans?
I think he's played like a total of years worth of games in 2 seasons.
I was gonna say I bet it's less than 17.
Yeah,
that was gonna be my exact guess of over 2 years. I'm guessing it's probably less than 1 full season. Yes. The answer is yes. The answer to the question you're asking is yeah, of course, absolutely. He knows Spags, he knows this defense, and it's not going to cost real money to bring him in. If he wants to try to take another swing at reestablishing himself and have one healthy year and do it on a big stage and then get paid again, this is the place to do it. The Chiefs happen to have an opening at corner. And if you told me now that Christian Fulton and L'Jarius Sneed were competing for one starting roster spot, I'd feel better than it being me competing with Christian Fulton for that roster spot. So I would. He played 12 games in 2024 and 2025. Yeah. He played more playoff games with the Chiefs than regular season games with the Titans. 13 to 12.
Here's the thing with L'Jarius Sneed. There's a couple things here. One, if they do this now, this is a complete deviation of what they've showed us that they wanted to do this offseason. If they sign L'Jarius Sneed, it is a completely different path than what they've already started to tread down this offseason. It's probably going down the wrong path, truthfully. I think L'Jarius Sneed, truthfully, it sucks to say this, I think he's cooked. I think that knee might just be too far gone. There's a reason the Chiefs didn't want to pay him a long-term contract. There's a reason the Chiefs were willing to tag him and then do a trade, and they were willing to take a future third-round pick? So it was like really a fourth-round pick value when they got him. A guy coming off an All-Pro. Wait, he wasn't an All-Pro that year. It was McDuffie that was the All-Pro, but he got like the Pro Bowl or something like that.
Something like that.
Semantics,
awesome.
But he is an all-pro corner. Like, he's a phenomenal cornerback when they let him go and traded him away for that time. I don't want to piss in anyone's Cheerios here, but I think that, like, you usually just don't cut good football players. Like, good football players usually just don't get cut. So I think it's very realistic that they are looking at the knee and saying, like, hey, man, you've played 12 games for us after we traded a future third for you. We're gonna save money if we cut you. We don't know. We actually really don't even know if you're gonna play all that much for us. So we're just gonna kind of go our own ways. You can try to figure it out. And I think it would be. I think what the Chiefs have done so far in free agency is shown, hey, re-sign Kareem Hunt or re-sign Mike Pennell or re-sign Mike Dana. Or, we're not going to do that. We're not going to just keep running it back with these same guys. We're going to get new guys in there. Khyiris Tonga, a guy who can actually play the position and play the sport. They got Demercado, an explosive running back who is a good third down back, not just Kareem Hunt. So they've shown that they are willing to bring more guys on the roster that are not just like the same old guys, like the same old guys. And I understand what they're saying. Like, hey, look, 1 year vet minimum, sure, but it would be a deviation from what they've already done. And this is a group this is a coaching staff that has shown how good they are with developing young corners, especially late round corners. I don't know why you would bring. Well, I do, I guess, for the competition of it and just to see, hey, if he's got anything less, we'll just try to squeeze it out of him. But it almost seems like you're stunting your own growth by bringing L'Jarius Sneed in.
I could see the Chiefs getting in their own way that way. The reason that I would just do this on the presumed very minimal, if not literally minimum deal, depending on how. I mean, the way that we always talk about the quarterback contracts when they get cut, the other team's already paying them that much. If Sneed says, "Yeah, I'll just come play for the minimum here, and we'll just let me get to camp and let's see how it looks," I would do that in part because I just talked about it, so obviously I agree on the roster churn side of it, bringing in new faces as opposed to familiar ones. The only cornerback they've signed so far played 7 fewer games than L'Jarius Sneed did last year. When we talk about Kohu, it's still the upside of a post-injury year for him. Now it's a clean ACL as opposed to Sneed having this famously aged knee. The reason that I do think this is a little bit different than some of the other ones would be the cost.
Sure.
And the ceiling. Kareem Hunt, low cost, low ceiling. I think if Sneed comes in at virtually no cost and he just can't play football, then you have a very sad day in St. Joe in August when you go, you know what, we got to roster cut downs and it's probably just over for L'Jarius Sneed because he couldn't make his old team on a vet minimum. But when you have such a thin group as they do right now, I would kick the tires and then, hope that the tire bounces back and doesn't, miss 6 games for that. But that is why I would give it the honest look. They also figured out how to manage that knee a little bit in Kansas City during that first era. So the Titans move on because it frees them $11.5 million. I would not give L'Jarius Sneed $10 million, to be absolutely clear. But if he is in that position where our dear friends, the Katz brothers, call Brett Veach and say, hey, he needs a spot to land, and you guys need corners, and Spags loves him, I think there's about as good of a chance that L'Jarius as Christian Fulton does, but Christian Fulton just has very little cap space to gain by cutting him outright.
Sure.
I'm still not sure that he's entirely safe. This is very funny from Colin saying saves a draft pick. Is that because the Chiefs would otherwise trade for L'Jarius Sneed in training camp? Was that the?
I think what he's saying is what I take it as is Colin is saying here that it saves a draft pick. That means you don't have to draft a corner.
Oh, right.
Signing L'Jarius Sneed, signing L'Jarius Sneed does not reclude you from draft. Signing a defensive end right now will not reclude them from the Desmond Bain. Sorry, Orlando Magic fan right here. The Ruben Bain sweepstakes, right? Yes. That does not reclude them. Anyone that they sign now does not reclude them from drafting any of these positions because these guys are still on the free agent market for a reason. I mean, it is opened 5 days ago. These guys are still free agents because they are, for better or for worse, damaged goods at this point. So, you're looking at possibilities for this team to try to get better marginally at this point. You're past the point of this is going to make the season's worth of difference right now.
Correct.
There's no player out there right now. I know that we love L'Jarius Sneed. I loved L'Jarius Sneed when he was in Kansas City, but I think that there needs to be a little bit of Chiefs fans, we do this a lot, right? Just come on back, Derek Nottie. Just come on back, Derek Nottie. You'll be great. You were great when you played here. Tano Passanio can just come on back. Manuel Ogba was pretty good when he played here. Let's bring Manuel Ogba back. It's just names that you just want to keep bringing them back on the team. And I don't think that is a very good thing to do because they did that a lot in previous years. And did they win Super Bowls? Yeah, that's because they have the best quarterback on the planet. But it's not. It's a correlation, not a causation.
Do though, that Derek Nottie ended up having to come in and basically be the starting nose until they got Mike Pennell back again, and then that is the problem. I think if Sneed comes right now, the cornerbacks on the roster: Christian Fulton, Kader Kohu, Kevin Knowles. I'm not including Chris Roland Wallace because he's safety. Noah Williams and Melvin Smith. I would give L'Jarius Sneed a call because you don't even have competition there yet. Like,
I think it's fair.
There was a question from Tim earlier that was, which free agent do you think will never see the field, looking at you, Elijah Mitchell? The answer to that is Kader Kohu, of like the biggest danger to not see the field, because he tore his ACL in training camp last year, and we just haven't seen him play. I think it's a good bet. I like the signing, but that's where the risk is right now. I think there's a huge risk with Christian Fulton, and there's some risk with Noah Williams. We haven't seen a ton of it, even though what we did see was promising. So the combination of the thinness of the group there,
sure,
I think it's worth a lottery ticket on a vet minimum deal there for L'Jarius Sneed. Maybe it's not a big, maybe it's a scratcher. I think it's worth a scratcher because you're probably not hitting the Powerball jackpot. Yeah. But if he could start 10 games for you, that would be an improvement on where they stand right now. And to your point, it would not preclude you at all from drafting in the secondary as much as you want. The one bit of redundancy that I'll say now, thinking about training camp, Christian Fulton and L'Jarius Sneed, neither one of them are playing on special teams. So you get to a roster crunch, but if L'Jarius Sneed looks like the better player in training camp, and then you just finally bite the bullet on Fulton, for example, I think you end up just rolling with the better player there. But the injury issues with Sneed are, of course, extremely real. Another one here from Tim earlier. Well, let's hear this one from Tom first, then we'll hit Tim's super chat. Tom said, the floor is so low. Do you believe the overall team has gotten better or stayed the same from the 6-win team? Again, today they're still worse because they haven't gotten to use the picks they got in exchange for Trent McDuffie. Yeah. They haven't actually been able to like, it would be like asking if they've gotten better after free agency after the Tyreek Hill trade. Obviously, they're worse off. If they nail every pick in the draft, they'll be way better off. If they go about 500 in the draft, they'll be pretty close to where they started, but a little younger and probably a little cheaper, at least with those rookie contracts. So I know that's a little bit of hedging, but that's just kind of the truth of the matter right now. It's the offseason is incomplete, and I think we have a lot of reason to believe that you can enjoy all of these moves, all the free agency moves that they've made so far. Kenneth Walker will be one that we're still talking about late in the season, obviously. I think you can make an argument, though, that 3 of their 4 most important additions this offseason are going to be draft picks. I think whatever happens at 9, 29, and 40, or wherever they end up making roughly those picks, those are going to be the guys that determine if this roster is better or worse than it was last year. I'm happy with what they've done. There aren't a lot of deals that I would have picked up from other teams in free agency so far.
Yeah.
It's just going to land really, really, really heavily in the draft.
I think I talked about this a little bit on that football show that went out this morning with Matt Verham. There's no deal that the Chiefs have done, and they've been like, oh, wow, that's a lot of money. Like that, they shouldn't spend that much money. Like all their deals like made sense. The Kenneth Walker one, you could be like, wow, why do you want to pay that much for a running back? They made it clear that they do want to pay that much for a running back. Every time they had an opportunity to talk and they had a microphone in front of their face, they kept saying about how they needed to get better than the running game and they needed better running backs. I know that Isaiah Pacheco, right, and I know that Isaiah Pacheco said the Chiefs tried to re-sign him. I think they might have gave him a contract offer that wasn't like. We saw what Isaiah Pacheco signed for, right? He signed for, was it 1 year, 1.8 or something like that?
I think it was, I saw 1 year about 2 is what I think it was. So
okay. Yeah. So it was 1 year, almost $2 million. It was above vet minimum. And if that was the best deal that he had on the table, I cannot imagine that the Chiefs offered him much higher than vet minimum. Yep. And vet minimum this year is 1.2. So it would have been 1.2. So I think he got 1.8 with up to 2 type of incentive escalators there in Detroit. I cannot imagine that the Chiefs seriously tried to re-sign him. They might have gave him a contract offer out of respect, right? Like, oh, here's our number.
Everyone loves him. He seems like he's a great locker room guy. It's not somebody like, all right, we've had enough of you around. He didn't produce last year. Yeah, 1 year, fully guaranteed $1.8 million. The Chiefs might have said, yeah, we'll give you a deal that's worth 2 with a roster bonus after training camp or whatever. And frankly, I think that was the right move for Pacheco. He will get the ball some in Detroit. He will be the distant second back there, but a team that's used 2 backs a lot over the years, that has a little bit of a vacancy. I think that's a good spot for him to be. Go play for Dan Campbell. I think that is smart for him, but I think the Chiefs made the right decision.
And I think that Kenneth Walker at the price point they got him at for 3 years is not a bad deal, especially when you see the ETN deal. Sorry, have you seen this? Travis Etienne
Achan.
is his it's his has his name now. It's Travis Etienne deal when it came in. You get him for 4 years and an 1 million less. It's like, oh, like that number was a lot closer than I think we all anticipated it to be. We were all thinking that Travis Etienne was going to be this guy who was going to be a wild, I don't want to say wildly, but it was going to be a significant decrease in terms of APY in terms of Kenneth Walker. I think Kenneth Walker is the better football player. So it's like, all right, if you want a better football player, you got to pay a little bit more money. They get the better football player for 1 million APY a year more and one less year on the contract, and he's also younger. So it's like, I think the Chiefs got like one in that situation, that deal. I would have been happy with either, right? I would have talked myself into thinking they won into any of them, however they would have came out of it.
Talk ourselves into the Algier Kenneth Gainwell combo. Like, you could have gotten there, but I was a little bit low on Algier, and I remember us talking before the playoff run. I remember texting you guys in the group chat, being like, I've always liked Kenneth Walker, but I feel like the vibes are kind of weird. Is it because I had him in fantasy football, and then he had the playoff run that he had, and everyone was like, he's a top 5 running back. Like, oh wow, that moved quick, but I absolutely agree. If they were paying him $20 million per year, it would be like, oh man, they're really, really spending to fix their running back problem. To your point, like, even the Tonga deal, $7 million per year for a one tech and mostly a 2-down defensive lineman. That's real money, but it's not bad money. It's not crazy money. It's just an investment in a position they haven't really invested in very much.
I think that's a good thing to take away from this as well. Is it like, there's nothing, they're not over their skis in terms of like where they're putting their money. It's not like last year when you're like, whoa, you're paying Nick Bolton how much? Whoa, you're paying George Karlaftis how much? Oh, you're going to give Trey Smith that much money? It's not like that. And those are all their own homegrown guys, right? So I guess they get a little bit of a little bit more of a magnifying glass on their contracts that they get since they're homegrown. But I like that the way that they've been smart with the money this year and the way that they've been allocating it. And I think the Cater Kohu signing could be a legit sneaky one if he is healthy and he is ready to go. Like, that could be a really good way to replace Shamari Connor in the slot, because he's a slot corner. I thought this was interesting. Matt talked about this on that football show again, where he brought up Trent McDuffie's snap counts from like inside and outside. He like barely played on the inside last year. He was like all really, outside.
Really infuriating. Yeah.
Yeah. They only had like 100
more outside corners on the roster.
Yeah, they had 150 inside slot snaps, I think, is all that he had. Trent McDuffie. So like he's replacing Shamari Connor, who had like 400 and something. So that's the replacement there. Your replacement for Trent McDuffie is Noel Williams. That's who your Trent McDuffie replacement is. So we'll see how that all pans out on the defensive side of the ball. I know that there was a question about, do you think that they're better? I think on offense they're significantly better. Mm-hmm. Wide receiver is going to be an interesting one. I think and Matt said this too, I think they are a wide receiver weapon away from being like legitly dangerous, like a legit dangerous offense. We'll see if they get that at 9 in the draft. We'll see if they get it in a trade. Who knows what they'll be doing. But I think that they are a wide receiver away from being legit dangerous, and I think the defense is they're a bit away from being legit dangerous.
They're dangerous to themselves right now.
Yes, they are.
Dangerous to the health of Spags and Dave Merritt. I want to try to actually answer this question. I want to call a shot here. Super chat from Tim a little earlier. So Which free agent quarterback do you think would be best to fill in for Mahomes should he not be back week 1? Flacco, Davis Mills? I have the list of remaining free agent quarterbacks up. Davis Mills is like is he actually under contract? I feel like somebody had a thing about trading for Davis Mills.
I think Davis Mills is under contract. Jameis Winston's still under contract.
So here's the list of guys not under contract. First of all, and you can just stop me if you disagree with any of these, but I think Tua, I guess, isn't official yet. He's still on here. He's going to Atlanta. Kirk Cousins, I think, is going to... Raiders makes a ton of sense there. I think that makes sense for everybody. Aaron Rodgers is probably either going back to Mike McCarthy in Pittsburgh or not playing. Russell Wilson, I think I made a joke about that last year, but I don't think that makes a lot of sense. That Russ might make sense if they could tell Russ that Mahomes is going to be out for the first. Doesn't seem like that's where the wind's blowing.
Right.
And then Joe Flacco, I think, is probably going to try to get a click higher where he can either start somewhere or just be the guy in Cincy. I feel like there was a report on that recently, but I'm not sure. The biggest factor for me, I've got two names here that I think are delightful as a development idea. But the real problem is that you need somebody to run Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce's offense in training camp when Patrick Mahomes is on the sidelines. I think even by the most optimistic viewpoint right now, you're not expecting him to be out there installing the offense and handing the ball to Kenneth Walker and St. Joe.
Sure.
Even if you're optimistic, it seems like that's probably unlikely for Mahomes. So I think you want somebody who can carry some of that burden through training camp. Does Tyrod Taylor not have a landing spot yet? It seems like he seems like he's always down for that role. Jimmy Garoppolo, probably not for me. I'm going to go to the bottom of the spot track list because there's no market value attached to Carson Wentz, who has been here before.
I was going to say there's one guy out there who has been in the offense before. And you're not going to like it.
I could see you stifling something there. Sorry that I took that from you.
That's all right.
But that seems plausible. I think Zach Wilson or Trey Lance would be very fun to give to Andy Reid for 2 years.
Sure.
I have a tweet somewhere on the timeline from like 2 years ago of someone give Zach Wilson to Andy Reid and let him fix him. Like, give him the BYU gunslinger and let's just see if they can make it work. I don't think that's a spot probably for those guys or for the Chiefs that makes a ton of sense, because I do lean veteran to run the offense.
Mm-hmm.
But are they going to go in the training camp with Carson Wentz, Jake Haener, and Chris Oladokun?
I fear that they might already have their backup quarterback on the roster.
You think Haener's just going to run it?
Mm-mm.
You think Oladokun's just going to run it? Really?
I fear.
He got benched for Shane Buechele at the end of the season.
Who Shane Buechele is signed with the Buffalo Bills.
So back to Buffalo.
Yeah. Yeah. I fear that that's what they're just gonna kind of. This is our backup quarterback now.
Well, if that's the case, I'll go ahead and pop this up for Vortex the Game. I love that YouTube has just completely obliterated us and making us with the usernames again. Do we have a better timeline for Pat nowadays? Not officially. The reporting has been relatively optimistic. What was it, Jay Glazer by week 1? We'll see. Jay Glazer's not a doctor, and whoever's telling that to him may or may not be a doctor. But I just think at this point there are too many steps to hit, too many unknowns to feel good about a direct timeline. I know Tucker has a really strong hunch, but here's what I'll tell you to answer your question, Vortex de Game 6774, who appears to be a real person and not a robot giving us $5. If the backup quarterback is Chris Oladokun and Jake Haener, if that's your depth chart in St. Joe, that answers your question.
Yeah.
And it might answer Tim's question.
Yeah.
If I think the Chiefs have every reason to like Chris Oladokun, and as a scout team quarterback, it seems like he can do a lot of good things. I was excited. I mean, excited is a strong word. I would have rather seen Patrick Mahomes, if we're being honest. But I was hopeful with the opportunity that he got at the end of last season. It did not go very well. And if they want to have him in the quarterback room, that's fine. Totally fine. If they plan on starting Chris Oladokun in week 1, I would be pretty surprised. And more surprised than I would be if they started Carson Wentz in week 1, which also doesn't feel very good to me in the big 2026.
Unless they draft like a quarterback in the 6th round with all the 6th round picks that they have. Is it all the fit? They got a bunch of fits, right? Yeah.
Use the 6th.
Yeah, use the last pick that you have. Maybe they draft a quarterback there. I don't know who it would
trade for Anthony Richardson. Seamus, you have my sword. I would love that more than anyone should. I would be so elated for that 5th or 6th rounder for Richardson. I think he's gonna win a Super Bowl with the Rams in 3 years, and everyone's gonna go, "Oh man, Sean McVay."
I just can't get over
He
the
might not play
fact with
football. I don't know.
yeah, with Anthony Richardson, the story that Matt Verderame wrote about him when he talked to him at a Colts training camp. I think it was like last year. He's just like, oh, I just figured out I need to start trying.
When you've
That's
been the
basically this
best
quote.
athlete in your world your entire life,
Yeah.
I understand how you get there. He's been that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about the whole backup quarterback thing. I haven't really been. I'm sure we'll do a breaking news team if they do sign a quarterback, just because that's what we've done the last couple of years when they've signed a quarterback. We've done a breaking news team. We're getting into Josh. We got to figure out what the line is for breaking news team, right? We got to figure out, like, for me in my mental health, we need to figure out what that line is, because I can hop on whenever. Now, I didn't do it for James Winchester. I know that I still get some heat that I didn't do it for James Winchester either of the years that he signed his record-breaking deal. But I think that's a fair line to draw.
You to do that. Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Like, if you're staying with the team, like, there was a real question about. Did you do one for Thornton?
I did it for Alohi Gilman, and it happened like I titled it was so they happened at the same time. So yeah, yes, kind of. I did one for Kelsey as well, but it was Kelsey after I found out what the contract number was, not when he was like coming back officially.
And so that was actual news. I think the idea of like a kind of a role play. You didn't do one for Drue Tranquil contract restructuring, even though that was almost the same thing as like Tyquan Thornton coming back. You know?
Yeah.
So I think that returning players have a little less buzz than completely new faces. I
have something to address with the Seamus. Here's the issue. It happened for Elijah Mitchell. It didn't happen for Elijah Mitchell. It was Jalen Moore's breaking news team that then the Elijah Mitchell news broke on it as well, so they kind of like dovetailed into each other. But I didn't really do an exclusive one for Elijah Mitchell.
Maybe that was the problem. Did
we
do one for Christian Fulton? I think we did do one for Christian Fulton.
Yeah, let me just throw up the. I'll just get to the YouTube playlist here real quick. It won't take me too long to get there.
I think that might be the way to take the analytics of this and to say, you know what have we learned from the breaking news teams we have or haven't done?
Yeah.
We
did. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say we did one for Irv Smith and he didn't make the roster, so.
Okay, so that theory might not work. Here's what I think. Oh yeah.
Re-signing Drue Tranquil was actually like the first technically breaking news team that we did, so kind of like full circles. It was re-signing Drue Tranquil, Carson Wentz, Clyde Edwards-Helaire re-signing. Yeah.
You did a
Mike
news
Dana.
team for Clyde?
Yeah.
Huh.
Chiefs trading for D-Hop. You know, that makes sense,
Definitely,
right? Like, that makes sense to do that one.
Mid-season.
This was when they signed DJ Humphries. We did a breaking news team for that one. That one makes sense, right? Like, that's like, he was going to be a starter at that point. Yeah.
Yes.
Until he got hurt again.
BF is Epic says, did you do a breaking news team for Nate signing with ESPN? No, but we should have. We should have treated it exactly like we would for a player. Put him in the thumbnail, the whole thing.
I think trades make sense.
Retiring.
Trades make sense. I guess technically I did title the Jalen Moore one with Elijah Mitchell as well. Chiefs signed offense tackle Jalen Moore, running back Elijah Mitchell in free agency.
So
we did one for
Irv Smith
Fulton
and Elijah Mitchell. We can't and Fulton. You can't guarantee success with the breaking news team, because if that was the case, you just have to do one for everybody. But that's not the case. We've learned.
Well, yeah, and here's the other part too: is that like when that happened, if you remember when that happened, that was at like 11:01 Central Time. Is when the Jalen Moore one happened. It was boom. We were already live, and then like 11:15 probably. It was like, oh yeah, also Jalen Moore's or also Elijah Mitchell's going. So I was like, well, I need to like rename this too. So I remember when that happened. Juju. Yeah, if Juju comes back, sorry, I'm not doing a breaking news team if Juju resigns.
Here's my subjective mechanism that I think you could consider.
Okay.
I don't think you can say it's about a number of years or a dollar amount or returning or new face. I think it's about the sound you make when you see the news on your phone. If you go, oh, you're definitely on. You go, wow, you're definitely on. You go, huh. I don't know if huh gets you to the breaking news team. If it's a it probably does need a breaking news team, because you're kind of questioning what it is. If you look at your phone, you go, Okay. You're not doing one. Juju coming back 1 year, small deal, non-guaranteed, whatever. No, okay. That makes sense. I get it.
No, I think that's fair. Mike Denny brings up, would you do one if Cam Jordan signed for about $4 million? Yes, I would.
Yep.
Because that's a position of need. That's a good question. Cam Jordan signing is above that line. The Demercado one's interesting because I was like, they signed him and I said, ooh, because it's like, oh, they decided to sign a second running back instead of, a defensive end. So I think
if it was Kareem Hunt yesterday instead of Demercado, I don't know that you do the breaking news team.
Correct.
I think Kareem Hunt, you go, oh, okay. Demercado, you go,
wow, we actually did a breaking news team for Sky Moore getting traded to the 49ers. I was thinking, did we do it? I don't remember, but we might be stretching it. I don't know. I'm speaking French, I think, but
yeah. Did you did you click in to see just you and Verderam for what? Wow, you did 4 hours for that one? That's crazy.
It looks like this was this roster cut down days when he got traded or something like that. Yeah, no, it was just me.
For how long? How long did you talk about Sky Moore by yourself getting traded?
22 and a half minutes. So not horrible.
Extremely respectable. That's a respectable radio segment, I think that's a very reasonable number.
Let's see. Oh, when Rashee Rice gets suspended again, I will probably go live again.
I don't want to be on a breaking news team for a suspension, I don't think. Leave that to First Take and let Stephen A do the whole thing of
oh, nice. This one,
his top 5 suspensions.
Oh, BJ hopped on with this one for me. We went an hour to talk about Rashee Rice being suspended. That's actually clinically insane.
Yeah, I mean that's a real topic, but yeah, kind of.
Hour and a half for Eric Bieniemy becoming an offensive coordinator for the Chiefs.
That makes sense. That was big.
Hour and a half for the Chiefs leaving Arrowhead.
Also interesting. Yeah. So I don't think there's like a strong, definitive analytical line, but I think it's like pornography. You know it when you see it. You know breaking news when you see it. That's and considering all the comments we've seen about Seth's new favorite football player BJ Black in the comments today, sometimes you might look at it and see both. All right, well, I gotta go play Pokopia. And we've done more than an hour. Look, if we get some signings this weekend, all right, you'll look at your phone, you'll see the news. You, dear listener, dear viewer, you'll make a noise, and then you'll think, well, that means they probably are or aren't doing a breaking news team. So, for Tucker's own mental and physical health, wouldn't be mad if they didn't make any moves till Monday, or if we just take a little bit of a break for a little while. But as always, like you said, you can check out the new That Football Show. I have not yet tapped into today's episode, but I will be doing that after this show finishes up here today. And anything else you need to plug, Tucker, or just have people ready to send you some money for a new blazer if necessary?
Oh, wow. Yeah, Jackie said...
I would. I'd hop on for Sneed.
Yeah, I think Sneed's probably breaking news. Again, position of need. That also plays a big part into it. I think it's a position of need. Seamus said there's no slam junk line for breaking. Did you hear this? Did you hear Craig said he thought it was a slam junk signing last night.
No, I got through one of Kent's big whoopsies, but I didn't get to the slam junk.
Slam Junk's a little bit later, and I just straight up started laughing because it was like, Slam Junk's hilarious. And I told him we need to make shirts. So it's like NBA Jam, right? But it says like Slam Junk is like that.
Yes.
But then like in the two pictures, like you know how they have like the I think you're following me. One of them is BJ Black, right? And the other one, the other picture is Bo Penix. Like those are the two characters.
Look, with the NBA, that's not who I was putting there, but I'll take one of those as well. Okay. I'd like a hoodie that's slam junk, that's just a raccoon, a pixel art raccoon, and then a pixel art trash can as my two selections. I have a hoodie that has a raccoon on a basketball that I keep forgetting. I just need to bring out of the closet. Mm-hmm. That's slam junk to me. Slam junk basketball is a raccoon going airborne. But also apparently Craig complimenting a signing. So that is
slam junk, baby.
Slam junk.
We got a lot of shirts to make. I tell you what, between initial colors at what it was.
Yes.
And adjusted for Jets. That was one that we got to hit the store. And slam junk. Gotta hit the store. There's a lot. There's a lot we gotta get. I don't know what I'm saying. I gotta hit the lab for.
Well, listen, I wouldn't resort to violence. I want to hit Kent sometimes too, but I wouldn't hit the whole lab. I would just. Oh, you mean metaphorically? That makes sense. All right, let's get out of here. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Thanks for hanging out for another edition of Everything Else. A big thanks to Tucker D. Franklin, and that's it. I gotta go play Pokopia. Till next time. Bye, Mom! I do think we could probably get a BJ Black jersey.
What number do you think BJ Black would be? No.
Don't make me answer that. They didn't retire Jared Allen, right?
I did some research. I didn't realize possums only live like 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, I was thinking 2 to 3 even. It's been that long since we've had ours, but yeah. Not a long life cycle. They live not very fast and try to make a lot of babies. And so that's what
sounds like
a friendly area for them to reproduce and multiply. What'd you say?
Sounds like an awesome life. Live fast and not make a ton of babies, What is their main predator?
Cars. It's both kind of the funny answer and the real answer. They don't have not a lot of stuff eats possums. Very little eats possums. Our cars do, and people, kick them out of their habitat.
Yeah. Wow, great horned owls actually really do not like possums.
And that they eat them, or that they have a disdain.
They're a predator. They're preyed on by large horned owls, according to this that I'm reading.
I love possums, but I don't think they would taste great. I know you can eat them.
Game
I haven't. I guess we could do that for the draft show this year. Day 3.
You got to see this picture that I have here.
I'm really excited to see it. We're going to get it to pop up on the screen. A little bonus content. A little bokeh.
Let me see.
I've already taken my pants off, so make sure my camera doesn't turn on.
Alright, let's see what I can do here. I'm saving the image right now. It's a really good picture.
There are a significant number of people still watching, waiting to see what we're going to watch together. And I think that's great.
Insecure download blocked. Okay. Maybe I just downloaded a virus on the computer, but I just told it to go anyway. Alright, be decent.
It's a possum snarling its face off at a fake owl decoy.
Because they're scared of owls.
They're kind of scared of everything. They look scary in response, but they usually just do that when they're afraid. So if you see a possum and it does its big mouth thing, it like literally physically can't hurt you. Just leave it alone and it'll go do its own thing.
Good way to end the show, I think.
I agree.